Yo guys, welcome to Wasted Wisdom. Today we have a special guest once again. Well, actually it's not once again, we have a special guest again. But he's here for the first time. It's Jonoy.
What up, people?
What's going on? You good?
I'm there, bro.
Cool. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about manhood and what it means to be a man. Pause on that first word. Yeah, okay. I heard it after.
Wild, brother.
I heard it after. I'm sorry. What it means to be a man. Basically, personally, what to you? What does it take to be a man, or what is a man? And society. What does society? How do they evaluate what a man is?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like, when was the first time you thought, or when was the first time you understood? Oh, I'm a man now. Yeah, so that's pretty much. That's the answer.
No, that's not the answer.
But yeah, so all right, so we can start. I'll start with you, Janai. What does it mean to be a man in your eyes?
Essentially, it's like being aware of the sacrifices that you'll have to make. And we start on that negative note because I think the general rhetoric around about now, especially amongst women, is that they are somehow disenfranchised by not being a man. They think that there's such a thing as what's the term? Malignant masculinity, toxic masculinity.
Yeah, sure.
That men are privileged. But it's like, I don't think people realize that there's a lot of responsibility behind the perceived privileges.
That is very true.
And they seem to think that it's a grand freedom of expression to be a man, but men are just as much confined as women in terms of the roles that they play and in terms of being, and let's use a very loose term, the optimal man.
The expectations are high, brother.
Right. And even beyond expectations, right? For you to feel like a man, it's heavily dependent on how people perceive you. It's just like you have a blank piece of paper, as I said, Jason.
Yeah.
If you have a blank piece of paper, and in order for you to know where you are or what you are, you have to view from the perspective of another thing. So I don't know where I am until I am south of this dot on this piece of paper.
So basically, it's like until you have that point of comparison.
Right. Oh, yeah. Look, I'm a circle, that's a triangle. So you get a point of comparison to say, this is who I am not, so therefore this is who I am.
True.
And that's a very broad way to put it, but the reality is that it often comes right down to that. It's just about sacrifice, because you can't have it all. Remember we were talking about that last week. Especially when you're choosing a spouse, some people will be fooled into believing that you can have it all, but chances are if you have it all, somebody's pretending.
True. Yeah. Very true.
Agreed.
Right. So I don't think people understand what men go through. And I think that because we have the freedom to do some things, that freedom translate into an all-encompassing freedom.
Like it's a free for all.
No. Right? So I mean, sexual freedom, maybe. Because as a man, you have to choose to have sex with the right amount of women so that the ideal spouse to say, all right, he's not a player, he's not a whore.
Yeah.
But she can say, okay, he's experienced. He'll know what to do in bed. It's like, where do you stop counting?
That's a very
Where you
good
draw
point,
the line?
bro.
Where you draw the line?
Yeah.
Some man will say, yo, what kind of girl think that? Like, or if you count woman, like, you just fuck woman.
Yeah.
But, I mean, a man has to really be selective about where I'm putting penis still. If you're not selective, you're kind of being a slave too. You're kind of being a slave to it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's not a good way to be, I don't think.
Because that's all. You can get poisoned and killed in way there,
I mean, but then you Dexter talk about a boy of him belly just poison him and all them something there.
True.
You understand? So a lot of women feel like they'll get some kind of freedom by rebelling against the man. And I keep using this example. Remember back in the day when women used to say, more men need to support the WNBA.
Yeah.
And the man does respond and say, yo, women need to support the WNBA.
Exactly. It's not just men that not.
Yeah.
It's not just women that. It's both of them. Both of them.
You understand? So I think from time immemorial, man never just get up and a man come and say, oh, say fire, you say food, yeah. Yeah, man, take care of yourself, you would boom fist and gone. Like you get up and you notice say you feel hungry and all of a sudden the rabbit there, the deer there, that's look very ravishing. You understand? And you fling some big stone, you fling one leaf and you realize when you fling the big stone, the thing drop over and it's less resistant to you fully in your belly. And you realize that some things just, you throw a stone upon him, just bounce off and no effect. And man, they probably dead experiencing that. And then the next man look on and say, alright, I throw no more big stone, you know. I throw some sharp stone. And realize the sharp stone them work. But if there was just a way to still have the stone after you throw it. So you start sharpen it and put it on a stick and all them something.
Right.
But like as a result of your needs and as a result of your necessity come these innovations, and men had to basically forge a path so that they didn't die, so that they could have feed themselves and their spouse. And even concept of love never exists back then. Concept of
You gotta go too far. You gotta go too far, too fast. Hold on. Let me just breathe it in for a second. You go on.
I guess we can stop at the marginalization, because that's what you talked about a while ago. The general topic a while ago was marginalization of men, because we have become so modernized that the gender roles can be said, we can say basically they're switched, or
to a
great extent, or the necessity of the labels have now been basically decreased.
Can I play devil's advocate to something you just said? All right, because the critique to that would be, well, you know, the gender roles have switched up because men were not they were not present in the home, so you know, mama have to play mama and daddy, so therefore, you know, are men really taking responsibility, as Janoy was talking about? And if they are not taking that responsibility, are they really men then? I mean, them look like big man and them can, you know, own property and all the fuck shit.
We're having this discussion about who or what defines a man. And that's why I'm going to say, him take it back to caveman days where, you, as him say, you find a stone, you throw it bounce off. And be your trial and error, right? Until you come up with some innovative things. And who usually do them thing then? Like, man. You understand? So, and that's why I say, now, comparing it to modern day now, there are various reasons why a man won't be considered a man, or why a man will be considered a man. But we can't even look on it now from a breadwinner perspective anymore. Even though some people have that as their idea.
Yeah, that's true.
Of what a man is. Right, Janoy?
Yeah. But if you even look at it, like, one of the things that I find very alarming is how there's this sudden surgence of the modern woman and what the modern woman looks like. Because if you're going to look at what makes a man, or what it means to be a real man, you have to consider just a little bit what it means to be a woman. Because
again, the comparison, as you
it
said before,
it has to take place. Like, for instance, who is the modern woman? The modern woman is an empowered person.
Working class.
Working person. She earns as much as a man.
Own money. Independent lady. Nah.
Exactly. Beyonce style, Shenseea style, them just want to be on equal footing with man. I think the whole idea that they think they are not worth as much as a man, I think it's absurd. It's just like, you see, the problem is that not being the person who makes the decisions makes it easy for you to see all the privileges and none of the responsibility.
That is true. And you did intimate to that earlier.
Right. And the modern woman is, in her empowerment, fails to realize that the answer is not so much lifting up women, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's an answer. But in and of itself, lifting up women will do very little if men aren't lifting up.
That's exactly it. That is exactly right.
All right. let me just get this clear. I think men are to be blamed for the state of affairs now. Like, I think this planet was entrusted to men, and I think men have a greater responsibility in terms of forging a path forward and commanding their own future. I think men are responsible for that, right? But a lot of the evils in this world were created because men didn't. I think they marginalized themselves. That's
a fair point.
I don't think anybody makes a decision and says, all right, this is how it's gonna affect the gender discussion. I don't think people make discussions like that, but I think when they make a decision and you don't take into consideration the overarching effect that it will take on your fellow men. And when I say this, I mean things like when men decide that being a father is too much and they choose not to stick around their children, they don't understand the ramification of what they do. And we talk about this countless times. Remember we used to go marketplace, and we talk about this all the time. Yeah. You don't know the type of daughters that you create. A daughter that doesn't have a father present, you don't know what kind of daughter that creates. What kind of woman she will become. What kind of man she will attract.
And yet we do, because there's so many examples out there.
Right. So I hold men responsible. But I just don't think women understand that just because we don't cry openly or we don't express ourselves in a particular way, we don't openly say this hurts me. They think that we don't feel anything. Sometimes the man don't feel pain and don't even know they feel pain.
Right. But then
until it's far too late.
But then, Jono, for those listening who are of the other opinion that men leave because of the women, what do you have to say about that? Because again, a lot of the times we look at it and say, yeah, this is a fatherless home, and you don't point to the fact that probably this woman was the one who let the father leave.
But then again, the dude was there. The dude impregnated the chick, then the dude leaves. So even then, it's still like
it's like,
I think, irresponsible. This is a modern problem, right? Back in the day, you chose your wife because she has onions, you have tomatoes,
right?
And both your families want to have an onion and tomato business. They want to corner the onion and tomato market.
Love it.
And then they decide that you to get married. But the thing is that, so it was easier to get married back then. It's just that, you had certain criteria to fulfill. So some things made it a little bit complicated. And I'm not saying they had it better then. I'm just saying.
I'm telling you, January, because remember we did cut you.
Yeah.
And we were going to love. Because again, the next thing, yeah, you have tomatoes and she have onions, but the next thing also is him have to make sure him have some conquests under him belt and ensure him can manage certain things, and she
so Tilly up the road who her father is a goat herder, right, her husband not gonna be as good as the onion girl, because everybody knows listen, the tomato family up there say say them son plow the goat herder daughter at the back of the barn.
Bombard.
Jesus.
You understand? So right there and then,
me want a dowry.
Her value is diminished. And the thing is that the ramification of that for women is more far-reaching socially. They have a lot more to contend with in that one instance. For the rest of their lives, how does this relate to man? Well, you have to disenfranchise somebody to become a man back then. Like your father would take you to the whores and say, all right, you have sex with all these whores, and you're a real man when you were 13.
Doc, can I just cut you for a second?
Yeah.
Because you just went to something that I've been itching to say. Rites of passage. Once upon a time, motherfuckers had that.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as a rite of passage.
That's very important.
Oh, you get your license? Yeah, man, no.
Yeah.
No, you're not, actually.
Yeah, and it's almost like we have some social, non-verbal rites of passages.
Yeah.
Like, as you just say, if you have your license, if you drive a car,
if you're fuck,
if you
or you get your first girl,
prowess, you know what I mean? You understand?
Yeah, work.
Yeah,
make your own money.
That's like a rite of passage. No.
Right.
But it's not like openly declared.
No, it's just it's weirdly enough, it is openly declared, right? Because people say, "Oh yeah, I do this now." Oh yeah, big man now.
Well, you could say it's a part of the subculture. You could say it's in the open. It's hidden
Like an
in the
open
open.
secret, yeah.
Yeah.
It's colloquial, but not like obvious. Like, okay, you did this. Oh, you are a man now, so fuck you.
But the funny thing about all that is you can still have all of those things and still not be a man.
You might not. Well, you know, all right. I'll say this though. This was another part of the thing where I was saying like, when was the first time you felt like a man? First time I felt like a man, it was when I was working out of town on assignment, and I used to work in education, and one of the ladies said to one of like the students, "All right, go and follow that man over there." So, and it was me. I was the man, and I was like, "Oh, I'm a man now." Fuck, I was 22.
And then for me, the first time I felt like a man was when I left my parents' home at age 18, and I lived in a rented apartment. And I remember coming home, 2 bills, and I have to cook my dinner and I have to wash my clothes on the Saturday. I remember that entire week, and I was like, "Yo, dog, you're a big man now, you know, dog.
Yeah.
Can't even call your mother and say, yo, what's for dinner?" or nothing like that.
Yeah, because autonomy is a very big part of that.
Yeah.
Autonomy is a very big part of being a man. But like I think where a lot of women misunderstand men in particular and don't understand what it really takes to be a man is where risk taking is concerned.
Yeah.
That's a big fucking part.
That's a very big part of it for real.
Right? I mean, all right. Let's just take for instance the fact that, and this is my opinion. This is a very, it's a very brazen remark. Men are not properly loved until they enter a particular earning potential.
No, man, but I remember
Yo,
Chris Rock.
Fascinating.
Chris Rock was saying the same thing. And until you, similar thing, not the same, but similar, where we're not appreciated unless we have something behind our name.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, kind of factual. But then it kind of makes you think, are you really loved then? Because if you have this money today, then some hackers go wipe out your whole bank account. So now your worth literally is gone, and your worth literally is gone.
Which is, I've been watching this little series on Netflix called F is for Family.
Yo, good series.
With Bill Burr.
Good series.
Good series, right?
Yeah, man.
And I remember when he lost his job, and it's like his whole life was just attached to him having a job, being able to provide for the family, and being able to boss the kids around.
He was working at the airport?
Airline, yeah.
Right, okay.
And the moment he lost that job, is like he felt emasculated, right? And then his wife got a job and was doing way better than him, but made him feel even worse.
So what is his worth?
What am I worth? Am I a man because I don't work?
Exactly.
You understand? I drive a little beat up car and mother home every day I eat cereal. Am I a man?
I'm not bringing the bacon.
You understand?
So what is my purpose? Then you get into that whole existential crisis.
You ever wonder why some good looking girls end up with some ugly looking good dudes? But that's like I said. Maybe I got pretty it up, but yo, me see some girl, them there with some ugly man. I said, why you have with me now? Sometimes I wonder if for women, if the physical thing, like a physical part of attraction mean anything to them.
But then, John,
like I said, men are concrete, but this is what it means to be a man.
Brother, they good lay get bun in a bro.
Could be.
That's possible.
Could be, but this is what it means. All right, I'm gonna tell you something. Like, for me personally, like it was a weird in between. Zine, growing up as a poor young man who got to an uptown school and have Christian values ingrained in him. They're very confusing, and you grow up in the ghetto. So it's a very expectations were had, and you can't meet any of them.
I get what you mean.
Because you
so economically
there's just no way. Like for instance, there's a lot of opportunities used to slip by me because of my mom's income. But then her income couldn't support us. the way she wanted to. So we just have to make do without certain basic amenities. See? Now, growing up, I was told I wasn't ugly. See? But I just couldn't get the girl. If you could have go Limelight, if you could have go Burger King after school, you just couldn't get the girl. It's just the end of the day. Like, when you really look at it, dog, you wonder if it's hinged on that. Some women say, no, it's not. That is how you carry yourself. Sometimes when a man will power, but like, I don't get it. How you define power? Because back in the day, hunting used to be, you get a spear, you throw it and you kill the most deer, or you catch the most fish, and you are wipe on that. Yeah. But you understand what I say. So, but now hunting is more like, okay, how many business do you operate? What type of car do you drive? Because this is an external representation of your earning potential.
Right.
You kind of seem like you're harping on, money man get girl. But I think it goes into, it takes a lot more than that to get a woman, per se.
Our keeper. Yeah.
But I just don't think the game is the same for women. Because if a woman's income bracket is low, dating is a woman's game.
No business. You understand? Business. She could have earned 50 grand a month, 30 grand a month. Man, no business about that.
That's the thing. Men don't really
We
give a
don't
shit
care
about
about
it.
that. But if a
it's
man
all about
tell you, say,
sacrifice.
yo, all I have is $30,000.
Rough.
Like, yeah, you're not ready yet, brother.
It's all about sacrifice.
You could have pretty subtle.
It's all about sacrifice. Because I know that there are a lot of guys out there. They have the look, they have the talk, they probably have the walk, but you just don't have the money.
But then
They don't get girls even still?
Because that's what I was going to say. Because
A lot of men settle.
Well, that is.
I've heard this said. Get who you can get now till you get who you want.
Bro.
When you look at I have bridging, man, I tell you, say, yo, pick the low hanging fruit first. You don't like that girl, but she like you, just fuck her.
Jesus.
I mean, we've seen this. I've never been an advocate for it personally.
Yeah, that's because that's what I say. I have to really play advocate, because you do have men out there who I've seen with my own eyes who don't have no money, and them get the girl.
Them get girls too, yeah.
You understand? And it's
there are men who do that.
And there's man with money
and
that pick up fuckery, girl. And there's man with money that don't get.
There's man with money we can't get girl.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like it's a very complex times. Like, how do you determine? Remember I was saying that back in the day, it was more like a business relationship to get married.
Yeah.
All right, today it's this. All right, so this is what he has to do physically. He must have curly hair, he must have a beard, he must be over 6 foot tall. When you done that, he must have a degree. When he done that, he must earn a certain amount of money. He must have this personality. He must come from this country. He must like these things.
And
he must like this food.
And on top of it,
he must be this good in bed.
On top of it, man, I have a light skin. I know that's a whole different conversation.
It is. Yeah.
Right?
You understand? But I think overall the whole gender argument doesn't take into consideration the risks that both sexes undertake just to exist.
I remember when I was younger, I always say, them girls seem to want a church youth or bus gun who have sexual experience but is a virgin. You understand?
Contradictory shit.
Yeah, some very contradictory thing.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Them want him for rich and humble.
It's very much hinged on the modern man is very much hinged on
Fantasy?
who is the modern woman.
Oh, I get what you mean. Okay.
And that is where I was going to go to, because what defines a woman nowadays, and if you have to look on both of them, what defines a man, and how what defines a woman reflects what defines a man.
It would,
Yes.
Boy, that's a really good point.
You understand? Especially in this day and age.
I mean, and this has nothing to do with conforming to a gender binary.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you have to identify as something. Even if you identify as nothing, you have to know what to not identify as. So how are you going to do that? How are you going to say
determine that?
you
Because
identify
Hence
as
the
neither
comparison.
if you don't know what the other elements are?
straight up back in the day, roles. Man go work, wife stay home, and cook, take care of kids, and make sure
Clean.
so the house alright.
Mm.
Man come home tired, oh baby, I'm so tired, honey, I'm home. Get food. You understand? And then cycle continues.
Maybe beg a fuck in another night.
You understand?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
understand? But nowadays, it's completely different. Both are not going to work. Both are not come home tired. Kids have to stay with help or something. You understand? And it's, I don't know. That's why I asked the question.
So it's really an exchange of power because whilst the modern woman has become more empowered, the modern man has become more domiciled.
True.
But it was to me, it kind of seemed like the sexes were kind of just borrowing from each other in a way. So one was too dominant, so they kind of brought themselves
What
down.
do you mean by too
Well,
dominant?
Alright,
Let me explain why.
Would you say how it was back in the day? It was like factory settings.
Boy, dog, I would have to say yes.
You sure?
Here's why I would say factory settings. Because up until about before first, second wave feminism, right? It was still, man, a dictator war going. You don't even get the same amount of money working the same fucking job. You're lucky they're out of the house in the first place, right? Even if women contributed to the war and blah, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
They still weren't even in the fucking military. This is more so like, North America type shit. But the point is, their role was minimized. Their role was always support. Even if they could do things as good as a youth, yeah, but you're a chick. Get the fuck out there, right?
Again, that's still open up because you just said something and it's still open another dimension because even these roles that we're talking about and feminism, was that even for black people?
No, dog. The thing with that though,
we don't really want to go down that road right now.
No.
But
no, but I know what you're saying. That's why to me I feel like anthropologically speaking, I feel like throughout the various cultures, most have been patriarchal. Not in a necessarily good or bad way. I'm not trying to do some kind of fucking value check on any of this right now. But because of that, it makes me think that it's not that something must be that the man must lead. It not necessarily goes so, right? There have been societies where the woman led. But let's face it, biologically, are men not stronger? Yes. Now, depending on what that society values, if they value strength, yeah, they're going to push that. If they value wisdom, they might not value that so much. They might value the wise man, or the medicine lady, or the healing lady, or whatever, right? So it all depends on the culture. But in the Western, obviously, which is where we live, to me, it's been highly masculine-centered, masculine dominant, until feminism, when everything starts to build back. Oh yeah, women can go work now. Men can maybe even stay home if they want to.
Stay at home, Dad.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not a shame thing. It used to be looked down on, but to be honest, it's still kind of looked down on.
Is he a man if him stay home and take care of the kids, Jason?
Honestly, playing conjugal roles is a dangerous game.
I can see why you said that. I can see why. But I think it still depends on the context for specific people.
Who do you think is more likely to remarry? Two guys got divorced, right? One is an avid drinker. He gets into fights a lot. He drives a Corvette, right? That's one stereotype. The other stereotype is a very sensitive man, cries when he's hurt, expresses himself, writes poetry. Who's who's more likely to get remarried? Or let's just say who's more likely to have a more successful sex life?
The first guy.
Why we can't be biased? The first guy.
That's because, but why? Both are clearly different men. One clearly is adhering to more modern concepts of who the modern man can be. A man that expresses himself, a man that is sensitive.
You see now you make a very good point now in the journal because again, how much have we progressed for real?
Really? Which is why what he said was like,
not all progress is good progress. Not all the progress that men have made so far has emasculated him.
You can go in the wrong direction, but go far. It's still progress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I say that to say, all right, and I say that to say, a lot of women say that, oh, but just imagine, if you will, you run a company, right? You have 100 employees and 50 of them are women. For the men, per year, you pay them $100 each. Doesn't matter the number. The women, you pay them $100 each. Let's say you pay them $90 each. Sorry.
The woman.
But 20 of the women get pregnant. They go on maternity leave for like the next 2 to 3 months.
Very dangerous.
No, it's a very dangerous. But we're going to have to talk about it.
It's a real
Yo, no, this, all right, no. Let me explain something. Let me explain something. A lot. They all right. See, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have these rights. They should, but even women who run businesses end up having this kind of problem.
Yeah.
If you have 5 women going on maternity leave, you pay them full salary to go on maternity leave. Then you have to either pay someone else to do their job, or have other members of staff chip in to fill those gaps. You're talking about overtime. You're talking about worker frustration taking place. Sometimes it's not always that bad. It can lead to eye-opening things like, this person's role wasn't all that important anyway. Didn't need her, she left, and wasn't a big impact. Some women who go on maternity leave have very important roles. And then you're stuck with getting somebody to, fill that very important gap in a short space of time. And even when you do, what do you do after that with the new person? Or with the person who has stepped up to the plate?
And not outperforming the previous person.
All right. Now, you look at all those things and then you say, should women get the same pay as men? You get a very uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, but the answer
very uncomfortable answers come up.
But here's the problem. The answer is already yes. They all get paid the same anyway. That is the thing.
Some businessmen will say, no, you can't pay them the same.
No, I know that's what they're saying, but the law is everyone get paid the same anyway. So the matter is already kind of null and void. If you don't do it and you're found to be guilty of paying people differently, legal action can be taken against you. So it still don't even really matter. That's what it is. So the question that you're raising though is still legitimate, in the sense that, is it really fair? But to me, it's like, yo, dog.
I said this already, and I tell you, the entire office got very uncomfortable. A lot of female friends, you can't, like, setting up, when you set up an uncomfortable question like that, people get very emotional. That's why I say, as a man, a part of the job is you don't get this same privilege that a woman gets. She doesn't get some privilege that you get.
That's true.
But for some reason, the belief is that men are at some advantage. And that's why I want women to understand that there's a trade-off. There is a trade-off.
There always is, yeah.
You're a vessel for new life. You're not less important than a man. But I think that your role is a supporting role. You ever hear men say, yo, we can do anything a woman can? Men don't want to be better. Men don't think they're better. They don't think they're better interior decorators than women.
Right? Yeah, that's fucking disgusting. I don't know if you saw it. There's this meme where it's like, there's like this dude with a baby in his penis. And they put like a little scan up on it. It's like, oh, look, it's a little baby in my penis.
Nice. That's the mother, man. Right?
Dog, that was disgusting. And you see him, and then giving birth. And you see this little head coming through your urethra. It's the most disgusting fucking thing I've ever seen. But Jesus. I suppose the person who made it was trying to illustrate the point that, hey guys, is it really that different for chicks? No. But still, you get what I'm trying to say? Am I making a salient point here?
Well, I agree with what John and I was saying earlier. Where you can try to be a woman and a woman can try to be a man. You understand? Because again, a woman brings new life.
But you still need the dude to do that.
So that's why I was saying the roles go hand in hand. That's what he was trying to say, right?
Yeah, but I think women bear the brunt of childbearing. I mean, there's no. To me, let me tell you, the most sacred animal on this planet is the woman. I'm saying that very confidently,
Yeah, but you're not wrong.
right? Anything that can host life and sustain it for almost a year is an amazing organism. But I just think that in and of itself, for being a man, there are no rewards for being a man. I hope women understand that. There are no being a man has no rewards.
But Doug, you just said that everyone has privileges, so
No, everyone has roles.
Okay.
And those roles come with certain responsibilities
Yeah, I
and
agree.
certain privileges. So maybe in the workplace, women get maternity leave.
Mhm.
But
That's a
maternity
privilege they
leave
get.
is, say what, 3-4 months long?
Mhm.
How long is paternity leave?
2 weeks.
If you think paternity
If
leave
you get that.
is not as important as maternity leave, you're right to some degree, but paternity leave is definitely pivotal for the development of a child.
Agreed.
How many broken women do you see men getting involved with because those women's fathers weren't there?
Tons. That's actually like the rule for the most part.
You know, and this is why I say I blame men, because men actually have one job. You just need to know that your kids come home and see you in the daddy chair. Your wife come home and she knows that you're getting the bills paid. You come home, you know the food getting cooked. You make love or whatever you make, and you go to bed. And you do it all over again. And you get up, you lead from the front. You teach your son to tie a knot. Whilst the daughter is taught to cook something. And occasionally you take your daughter in your lap and you tell her about life. And you make sure she knows that she's protected no matter what. All she did, it doesn't need to even be real. You could be the weakest man. But she needs to believe that if she drop and cut, or if any boy tell her about her mama, her father will come with a pickaxe or a cutlass and say, yo brother, peace of you with ever and over, and the rest of you with ever St. Thomas.
Wow.
Even if you don't mean it. But the problem is that you get a lot of cluster B girls because the people who are supposed to love them hurt them. Men who prey on their daughters, I talk about them man there, but blame you. Men who walk out on their children, but blame Uno. So where does that leave the rest of the men? The rest of the men have to be men who, when a woman with big breasts come in front of them and entice them to do things where them know them not supposed to do, like cheat on your wife, like walk out, like do things that will put a dent in your family structure. At some point in time, you have to learn to say no to those things.
Yeah. It's self-mastery. It's a part of self-mastery for real.
You can't expect like things like that to not come your way. It's not temptation if it's not tempting.
You
at some
made
point
that
in
point
time,
the other day, and I really rate that point.
So basically, you're saying, Janoi, the true measure of a man is a man who is able to be responsible.
A man who is able to understand what sacrifice he
Right.
needs to make. That's what I said at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because people, it's not all about just benefits.
Right.
Yeah, we're stronger, and yeah, we have more testosterone, and we're driven, and we're focused. But we have to use that responsibly. Like, power must have some kind of gauge and the cursor to move it and channel it in the right direction.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Yeah.
That's why you have the concept of what a simp is. A simp is a man who has probably similar sexual desires like me and you, but the difference is how he goes about attaining what he desires. If he feels like he needs to be subservient to a woman to gain her love, if he's unable to say no despite the fact that this is what he wants, then he's no longer a man. He's a male.
Interesting. I mean, to be honest, I feel like a simp is really just anybody that just thinks that women are inherently more valuable than men. To me, because it's like, now that you think that is why you would then naturally just, oh, pretty girl, you're automatically above me. Let me go and prostrate myself for your attention and blah, blah, blah. That's how I personally view it. Because if you didn't have that first thought, there's no way you could be a simp. Because, say, yo, I'm not above you, but you're not above me. We're on the same level. We're just human beings here. That's just my take. But Mark, what do you think it means to be a man?
I just said it. in what in my own self discovery, looking at the male figures around me, and looking within myself, I realize it really just boils down to responsibility
Okay.
and taking responsibility and doing what you're supposed to do. You understand what I said, John?
Yeah.
That's-
No, that's absolutely correct.
You understand? That's ultimately what it is. You
Okay.
understand?
So I'm going to now be an asshole. What you know?
Go ahead.
Okay. So if a chick makes sacrifice and takes responsibility, she's a man.
No, she's a woman.
Well, she's doing things that men should do.
But is she not doing things that women should do?
Well, let's look
This
at it.
is why-
Let's look at it this
Go
way.
ahead.
Let's look at it this
Go
way.
ahead.
All right. Men have what? An XX chromosome?
No, XY.
XY.
Mm.
Women have an XX chromosome.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a skill that there's a thing that I used to remember this, but I'm not gonna get into that because I'm gonna get cancelled for that. Continue.
All right, let's look at it this way. I mean, Carl Jung, he's a psychologist that looks into the development of animals.
Right.
You know, animus is the subconscious male development for women, and anima, subconscious female development for men. Right? And if a woman portrays male characteristics, and let's not assign these to a gender.
Right.
She exhibits very strong leadership characteristics. That's what I'll call them.
Sure.
She's still a woman.
That's what I was saying.
All right.
The reality is that as adults, you're all supposed to be taking responsibility.
Yeah, which is what
And-
makes you an adult.
Right.
Because remember, a man is an adult male. You understand?
Exactly.
So even if it's a woman doing, because again, and I made it so broad because again, roles may differ in each relationship because it depends on how you want your relationship to work.
Everybody writes their own contract in the relationship.
Yeah.
But I want to put something to you. What's the difference between life and death? Like you can't define death without
life.
defining life, because you only know death as the absence of life,
Exactly.
and you only know life as well, not being dead.
Not being dead.
Yeah.
So it's like this: if once a man stops doing those things, he stops being responsible. He doesn't want to take responsibility for his actions. He doesn't want to lead from the front. He doesn't want to play the role of storyteller, caregiver, protector, provider. If you no longer want to portray, like anybody can display those roles, but if a man refuses to display those roles, he's not a man.
What is he then?
A male.
A male. Okay.
or some people say a man child.
Even that.
You understand?
Some people say he's immature. That probably a man child.
I remember
probably-
you said earlier when you came in the car and you asked me the question, bro, about the poems and thing. And your response was, I was very mature of you.
Yeah.
That is what a man is. A person who takes responsibility in any scenario that he's supposed to be taking responsibility.
Yeah.
That is what a man is. You're supposed to be able to stand up and do what you're supposed to do.
You know, if you look at Sims, and if you look at people who can't get women, one of the things about people who are addicted to porn and who are stay-at-home nerds, people like that are lazy.
No.
They don't have, and I'm not saying that being an introvert is bad or preferring to stay indoors is bad
You're an
or
introvert.
being smart is bad.
Hmm.
None of those things are bad. You take those things to the extreme and you end up being the type of person who has not conditioned himself to participate in the world live as it happens on the front lines. If you refuse to do that, you don't know what it takes to walk up to a girl and say, hey, my name is John Doe and I want to get to know you better. Like people actually go on YouTube, you know, and they say this line and no woman will resist you. You know who that is geared towards? You think that's geared towards a man who knows how to go up to a woman? And say, it's geared towards a simp.
Wait, them fucking commercial there, that bomba clap.
This one magical word, and like you don't need that. Let me tell you, and them always tell me this: if the right person can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and the wrong person can't say the right thing to the wrong person. If you go up to a girl and you can't look at her and tell her your name and ask her for hers and start a conversation from there, look within yourself.
You're not mature yet, dog.
Look within yourself, because the chances are you're having feelings of inadequacy.
That would be the root, yeah.
If you can't, and you should be able to do this to to your fellow men.
Boy.
But you see, that's exact, and that goes back to what I was
You
saying.
must say,
initially.
yo, dog, we're ready to take yourself to, to the streets. You dress yourself good, and more know, yo, where you get that shirt from? John I, by the way. If you instantly assign homosexual tags
That's exactly
to something like that,
Exactly, brother.
something clearly wrong with you.
Something clearly
Like, are
wrong
you
with you.
that?
Yeah, ask
Are
me
you
shirt.
that
Yeah,
uncomfortable
why
with
for that?
yeah? Like, are you that uncomfortable with saying your name
Yeah.
and that kind of thing
But if
perpetuates?
you live in a homophobic society, though, dog, like, man, not even pre that them way they in that, them just feel say, yo, yeah, I'm sure, dog, what the fuck? If they didn't really think for themselves, they wouldn't necessarily do that. So could you not say then another attribute of being a man is actually just being the individual that you truly are on the inside and not necessarily bending to conventions?
That's apartheid. But
Because-
being a man, you have to be authentic.
I know, I'm gonna be very controversial now, because are you then saying homosexual men
Are
aren't
not
men?
It depends.
Are they sacrificing? Are they responsible?
First of all, legally, how do they identify? If they identify as women, then are they homosexuals? That's another topic altogether.
Yeah, that's too complicated.
Yeah, that's very complicated.
But I will
That's
say this.
another- that's another
I will say this. I will say this. A homosexual man can very much be the same man as a heterosexual man. And enough people now like that sentence there.
That's where it goes through. It's
But
true.
the problem is that we tend to have the outlook that a homosexual man is effeminate. That's how we generalize it.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing is, like, they're effeminate in the sense that maybe there are certain feminine things they gravitate towards, or there's a certain feminine way they express themselves.
Look, I look at Anderson Cooper. I don't think Anderson Cooper is effeminate. Anderson Cooper is gay.
That's true. That's correct. Yeah.
You know that guy from Malcolm in the Middle? The guy
Yeah.
that stars a Big Brother.
Yeah.
He's gay. And
Yeah.
he is not effeminate in any way. And I'm saying, why?
I mean, isn't it because like it kind of manifests itself in different ways? Some gay people are effeminate and some aren't.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think how we perceive men has a lot to do with how they represent themselves.
And you said something earlier, and it just sparked a question in my mind too, because then, what is a woman? Because the next thing, a lot of us want to define what a man is, but who is a woman?
That's why I said what I said.
You understand?
If she does everything that you both said, that the criteria for what a man would be, and if a chick does the exact same thing, is she a man? Of course,
No,
she's not a man.
woman.
The problem is that the modern
Exactly.
woman gains masculine attributes.
but
Independence,
but
autonomy, power.
Yeah, but you
earning
can't say
potential.
that responsibility is a masculine trait.
Exactly.
I think
It's a mature
I
trait.
think it's a mature
Exactly.
trait, and maturity is a part of manhood.
Despite the
Exactly.
fact that a child could still be mature and take responsibility.
Well, if he doesn't have autonomy, he's not a man.
I understand that, Janai, right? That is true. But I'm just saying, in terms of the responsibility thing, because the thing is, I can take a lot of these traits, and I'm, again, just being devil's advocate here. I can take a lot of these traits and say, but a child could do that. But a girl could do that. An effeminate man could do that.
Well, let's put it
Why
this
does it
way.
mean that?
If you put a steering wheel, 4 tires, and some metal in a bag and you shook it up,
Is it a car?
it wouldn't spill out a car. And so there are some very specific ways to do things. Like if you bake, you could use the same ingredients and bake 3 different cakes. Depends. If you mix the butter and the sugar at the same time, or if you add 3 or 2 eggs, or did you leave it for the yeast to rise for 3 hours, you will get a different consistency every time.
Every
I
time.
agree.
Because there are conditions that
And
must be met.
I see where you're going now, Jason, but and that's why I was going to ask you responsibly.
That's
in
a
what
very
way?
good point that he made, because
Yeah.
it's not just the attributes. but it's about
The expression
the
of
context. Yeah,
Yeah, the
context is key.
Yeah, because again, a 15-year-old boy being responsible, paying the bills, because him work on Nickelodeon and him rich. You understand? Or whichever way you want to put
It's
it.
like some Shia LaBeouf thing. But
Right. You understand? Is he a man? No, because him not have the maturity to even understand or the capacity to understand certain things.
He's on the path to manhood.
True.
He's on the path to manhood, as you rightfully said.
It's like this. You don't act like a child one day and then become a man the next day. At some point in time, as Jason said, there's a rite of passage. These things have to be attained over time, and you have to practice them. You don't just cheat all of your young years and then
big man because
as a 30-year-old man you're
$1
faithful all
million
of a sudden.
in your account, $1 million US. You're not big man because you have the money. You understand?
You're a
And you
rich
can
man.
pay the bills or whatever. And so I say responsibility in a broad sense. So responsibility is not just about, oh, I bought this today and I bought the groceries or da 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 da. It's also emotional responsibility. So you know, say somebody says something to you, you know, pop off and go shoot them or all them foolishness there. You understand?
Some people
what I'm
would and I'll tell you this. Some people would say the guy that pop off and shoot is more of a man than the guy that probably say, alright boss, alright, cool, than the coward. But the reality is that it's not just about the extreme,
Right.
but it's about the intent as well. So for
Right.
instance,
True. Yeah.
I mean, and I like this. I mean, I know you guys going to come down on me for this, but Jordan Peterson, he posits that to be powerful is to have the ability to do something and make a choice not to do it.
Okay,
Like
yeah,
good men, like he insists that good men must know evil and must be capable of it, but not do it.
choose not to do it consciously.
Know when to hold them and when to fold them.
When to walk
Exactly.
away. When to
Rest
run.
in peace, Kenny.
You'd probably be more of a man if you had a loud outburst at your girlfriend than if you were to keep your feelings to yourself and not express yourself and then have an inappropriate outburst later on. Because the point of the matter is, if she feels that she can do something and get away with it, this is not just for women. If your male friends feel like they can hurl an insult at you and get away with it, without you saying, yo, don't fucking talk to me like that, bro. If you can't check your brethren or check people, you're giving up respect. You're giving up things that are incentives for manhood.
And it will fuck with the autonomy as well.
That's why I say again, you have to be responsible for your emotions. You
Fair
understand?
point.
And responsible
Fair
for your
point,
boundaries. You understand? So if somebody come step to you and you know then you don't like that, you're not gonna sit down and be like, oh, well, it will go away. He'll leave. You understand? You talk up.
Are you guys familiar with a book called, I think it's called Warrior, Lover, Magician, King?
Heard of.
Yeah, basically the book kind of says that there's like these 4 archetypes of men, right?
Technically you're 16, but go on.
Fair.
Alright.
Alright, we'll still come back to that. Alright. In this book there are 4, right? But the thing is, and so you maybe do like a questionnaire and you find out which one you specifically fall into. But there's also substrata of those 4, where they're like the immature versions of these things. So if you're like the warrior, but you're the immature version, you just pop off at everything. If you're the lover, you just like fall in love just like that and you just lose your head over a girl. Easy. You put them on a pedestal, all this shit. You're a king, you're a tyrant. And if you're, did I say the magician one yet?
No.
Right, and if you're a magician, you probably misuse your power or don't just accept you have power or some shit like that. Right? So I bring that up just to illustrate the fact that I guess for me, what it means to be a man is a very specific thing to men in and of themselves. So to that specific man. So for me, there are certain traits that will overlap with you, Mark, with you, Janoy, right? But then there's other things where I'm like, I don't think that make me a man personally. You know what I mean? But
you're right. You're right. Because you basically expound on the point that I made. Because I was saying it is relative to what you value and what is important in the scenario or the context that you're in. So, so Janoy could have kids, right? And Janoy knows him supposed to pay the school fee or carry them go some playground, you understand? And he never show up. You understand? Him not being a man right there. But you don't have kids. That's none of your business. But you know say, yo, Jano Star, I'm supposed to write this paper so I can get paid, so I can take care of my wifey or whatever, or so I can pay the light bill. And you sit down and you procrastinate the whole time and down the paper.
But another way it could manifest itself in this is in the sense that, yo, I recognize that I am not able to do this and I'm just going to I'm going to just come clean and be like, yo, my girl, I have difficulty doing this, so I think I should leave, not be a burden to you, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It can manifest itself in different ways.
Or in a better way, I know that I cannot do this, so I'm going to seek external help to get, because that's a part of being a man as well.
True.
And it's better if you want to call it the modern man, if you want a good example of what a modern man is, it would be knowing when to surrender power.
Yeah.
Yes, bro.
I think power is a very dark thing if you let it. Because at some point in time, I think people confuse power with being right, correct, or in control all the time.
Right.
But power isn't that. Power is just a thing, a tool, an idea. And it depending on how it's channeled or how it's used or who uses it.
Yeah, man, you make a very good point a while ago, Jason, because, again, in my opinion, the man who gives up his power and say, okay, I'm going to leave, to me, that's a simple. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Rather than say, I'm going to work together so we can get this done. You get what I'm trying to say, John? So if you know, say, all right, a classic example. You're not a plumber. You understand? And you have this you're the man of the house and the pipe a leak. Your wife said, honey, the pipe is leaking. You go under the sink and you pretend like say you know where you're, you don't know where.
Because it's my responsibility.
Because it's my responsibility.
Right.
Right? And you flood out the whole place.
Right.
I mean, would you say that guy wasn't a real man? I mean, I would say this. That guy was being a man. That's not a wise one.
Right.
You see,
that's where I was going though.
This is
All
why.
right, here's the thing.
That's where I was going though. If I'm not a plumber, so I'm gonna find somebody, get my hard-earned money, pay the plumber for fix it.
The question is,
That's not gonna make me less of a man.
Of course not. But
that make me a wise man.
if you were to be politically correct and answer, well, you wouldn't even be politically correct if you gave it this answer. But if you were to say what truly constitutes a man, you say biologically, a penis.
Oh, that's where you're going.
You see,
That's where you're going now.
this now. This
Yeah, we're going somewhere that, you know.
this to me, this was the first time I had to think about this. That was my conclusion because I could think about all these different traits.
If you're gonna choose a broad statement to describe,
All right, hold on. Let me just finish what I said. Because the thing to me is like, yo, I'm not saying I ended at that point, you know. I'm just saying that there's a point I reached once I first thought about this years ago. I'm like, dog, so much people could have all these wicked ass traits, still miss something because we all have a shadow and we all have some fuckery, right? That could discount us as a man. We all have that shit, right? Chicks have shit that discounts them as being a real woman And people love to do that thing, the real man. You're a real man.
Yeah,
You know
because
what I mean?
on the flip side, if a woman can't have children, is she a real woman?
See, all them fucking
She is. I don't
don't
think a woman should be judged based on her ability to have woman.
And I don't think so.
But she
I
should
don't
be
think so either.
judged based on the tools given to her.
Exactly.
And yet, an impotent man will question his masculinity.
Exactly.
Because why?
He's unable to produce.
Well,
children.
And that is why I just refuse. Like for me, it was again then it was an issue for me to say like, yo, dog, honestly, you can have all these traits, all these things, do this, do that. You're still going to miss something because you are flawed and you are a human being.
Well,
so
is a term man an abstract term or a concrete term?
I'm leaning more towards abstract.
It's a label. It's a label to describe a phenomenon that happens in life. And most people would have looked upon me, you, and Mark and say, oh, a tree man that.
Yeah, and then there's a tree man that. And then, because again, you
But
said
why?
Because you said something earlier, you know. Because you have guys who sit down and play games all day. You
Guess what?
understand?
And a man that same
And
way.
a man that
you know why?
same way,
Because
bro.
people are looking at them and it's like
Hill.
you look like some 6'1" fuckface who should be working. You're a man. You should be doing this.
I like what you're saying. I get what you're saying in January. What you're saying is a male. But then now, suppose him can fling it down good on the girl and him don't cheat and all him do is just there for her. You understand? Him just there for her. Even though him probably play games all the time or whatever, he's there for her.
But having a hobby is not a bad thing.
No, when I say playing games all the time, I mean him don't work, you know, brother. Him just stay home and just do him own thing and him fling it down good in bed and she like that and that is her man.
Well, as I said before, a lot of couples, they have contracts in their relationship.
Okay.
If you are fulfilling your contract, then do you. In terms of in my personal opinion, I don't think a man should sit down and watch the real world outside go by.
But again,
Like
that not
They used to-
your
I-
evaluation.
That's
I-
what you said, that's
I used to have a
his
pastor-
opinion.
If I am ninja, right? I'm a fucking streamer and I fucking go. Yeah. So as I was saying, if I'm ninja, if I'm a streamer, right? I get paid millions, right? To stay in my yard and play game. I have my family, I have my wife. I think he has a kid. All this fuck shit, right? Is he still not a man, despite the fact that he's basically staying in the yard?
Ninja is more of a man than a lot of men. In terms of if you have
I agree.
the testicular fortitude to put your life on international media,
Yeah,
on social media,
yeah.
right? You went out, you got a camera. You have a plan. You know, and you're using whatever abilities you have to generate income, and I really can't blame you for that.
Right. And you can't make and I don't think masculinity or manhood should be defined by the type of job you have.
I don't either. But the point I was trying to make was just the fact that, like, yo, dog, it still goes back to what, and again, this is just really my opinion. It just goes back to what I was saying to myself, where I'm like, yo, or well, sharing with you guys, that at the end of the day, every man going to have to decide not even decide, he have to understand who he is
Yes.
and do that shit. Because I'm sorry, dog, I have seen some dudes try and take responsibility in an arena that they do not have those strengths and they refuse to just, as you said, John, relinquish that power. Well, there's not even power. They don't even have power.
And I'm on that.
They don't even have the power. But they're trying to get it. They refuse to just accept themselves, dog.
Well,
Can't
look
move
at
forward.
it. Look at it this way.
Yeah.
A man can fail,
Yes.
a man can fail,
Yeah.
and not succeeding does not mean you're not a
I'm a
man,
man. Yes.
Correct. Right. Everybody have to fail.
right? But I think ultimately what it is, you see, if you don't take your life by the reins and try to make use of what you have,
Yeah.
you disenfranchise yourself.
Agree.
I agree with that, yeah.
You put
Agreed.
yourself. You don't put. A position of power is not necessarily a position of victory. A position of power is
Get responsibility,
making
dog.
and it's about making a choice.
Yeah.
Because if you have to choose between eggs and bacon, right? If you allow somebody to choose for you, essentially what you have done is relinquish all power that you have.
Yeah.
You may not have been the best of choices.
Yeah, because even something as simple as this in a journal.
Even if you say I choose neither, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
Because as long as it's something authentic,
and it's all coming from you.
right? No, if you surrender that kind of power to somebody else, then you simply, and I tell you, why do we attribute autonomy, responsibility, and power as masculine traits? Because since time immemorial, these were things that people depended on men to do.
True.
Nobody in a tribe depended on a woman to go out and kill the cow so that everybody could get a piece of the meat.
But she did have a responsibility. But I'm not trying to take away from your point, too.
She had responsibilities.
Yeah.
But it so happens that the more aggressive ones, the ones that had higher risk and higher yield, weren't necessarily hers. It doesn't mean that because it doesn't have higher yield based on the current need, it doesn't mean that
True.
her job isn't important. You can't eat raw meat. So if a woman go cook your meat for you, she is important.
Right. Because you could get the spoils of war and still she kill you because she not season the fucking food.
Right.
Or not clean it properly.
Yeah, understand. So, and then I was going to say, also, another scenario is, you know that you are good at cooking. You know as a man that is your thing, but you relinquish that talent and the power you have in that arena for going to another arena, like say medicine. You know like blood. You can't deal with people.
You know, like
Again,
hospital.
it comes right down if you have
I
full
made that choice for good years, so
Because of money.
knowing that you can't manage that.
if you have full confidence in your own abilities and you have full autonomy over your life, you make use of what you have. And we're losing a lot of real men now, and I say that because of the current state of society, which is that with the rise of feminine power, there's a direct correlation between the rise of feminine power and the decline in masculine power. Not because one is caused by the other, but the rise in feminine power occurs as a result of necessity.
There's a correlation, I would say.
There's a correlation, but it happens out of necessity and not necessarily men lose power because women are gaining power. It doesn't happen like that. But it's a very tricky scenario when you have to define who the modern man is and who the modern woman is. Because we have to define these things in the context of the times that we live.
Yeah.
And you rightly put it, like, women exhibit these same traits. So why aren't they seen as men? And again, I say, everybody has these choices and these responsibilities, but the sacrifices that come with being a man are what truly, the choices that you make when it's time to make those sacrifices are what truly define you as a man. Because sacrifices must be made.
Alright.
Choices must be made.
If I would add one last thing to that, again, I was just playing devil's advocate because for me, I would have said, a woman could do all those things, but she's not a man. Why? Because like a man is a person who does those things but has a dick. That's pretty much what it was for me. But I understand that now that can get into some kind of intersex question and, transgender questions. And I don't really want to go into all of that shit. But nevertheless, John, I thank you very much for being here today, dog.
Bless up, fam.
In the closing still,
Yeah, good.
what I'll say for me is a man is a person who takes responsibility in whatever context he is. You understand, given the circumstances, him taking responsibility of his own action, of his own belief, him taking responsibility of his own actions. You understand? And if a woman or a female does the same, to me, that is what is defined as being a woman, stepping up and doing what she has to do in the context that she has to do it.
Wonderfully said.
Okay. Yo, guys, it's been a riveting conversation. This has been blood clot. A long ass podcast. But guys, thanks very much for being there today. Thanks for listening. Remember to Check out the Wasted Wisdom JA handle. It's over on Twitter. It's over on IG. So you can just follow us over there, shoot questions over there as well.
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. Yeah, guys, like, subscribe. What
Hit
else?
the bell.
Yeah, hit the bell for notifications and all them things there.
Vote for Labour.
Wow. Yeah, but no affiliations.
Yeah, no affiliation. Like so if the graphic index is green, that is not necessarily an endorsement for they fix my road, but like just anyway.
Wow.
Thanks for being here,
No
guys.
affiliation.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.